Hi, I'm Derek Mooney, and this is Read Right Now. Welcome to the brand new series of Read Right Now, the programme that's designed to help you improve your reading and writing skills. This week I'm here in Glendalough, an ancient centre of learning. And just like the fantastic walks around here, we'll show you how learning is a journey with different paths, turns and milestones. We'll be looking at people who have progressed along pathways to learning, just like Anna Hamill, who went from this.
My friends would buy, say, magazines or books, and they would read them, and then they'd tell me what the story was about.
To this.
I'm enjoying it. I am happy doing it. But this is the first time I ever could say that.
Each week, Ian Robertson and Terry Garvey will be exploring more about the whole process of learning, the different ways we learn, and the idea that there's no one perfect way to learn. Plus, Terry will be giving us plenty of practical tips on reading, writing and spelling. So let's see what Ian's up to.
Thanks, Derek. This week I'm visiting Dublin Zoo. In this programme I'll be telling you a little bit about how people learn. We'll see how your brain changes as you learn and how learning helps you see things in new ways. We'll also see how small goals help you achieve your bigger learning goals. And of course we'll have our usual learning points, which in today's programme are filling in forms, recognising sentences and phonics, how words are made up using different sounds. And just like this path, a guide is very useful. And your guide to the series is this brand new Read Right Now workbook. It has worksheets and exercises to practice everything we cover in the programme and more. So to get your free copy, just call 1-800 20 20 65. So what are you waiting for? Let's get started. Anna Hamill lives in County Monaghan and began working on her reading and writing skills last October through a return to education programme. It took her 16 years to pluck up the courage to go back to learning, but she's really happy with the change it's making to her life. Her sons were her main motivation.
I just couldn't read. I just didn't read. But I went through the whole system, and it's hard to believe that you could go through them many years and you couldn't learn a thing. You learn lots of things, but you just couldn't learn to read. B-O. X. Box. My friends would buy, say, magazines or books, and they would read them, and then they'd tell me what the story was about. Though some of them I could look at, you know, but I mean, that was no good. I never bought any. Hurt and sometimes angry at why did this happen to me, like, you know. Difficult times, difficult years. Daddy? Look it. Come and get it. When I left school at 16, I went into a factory making jeans. There was a little bit of work, you know, a little bit of writing had to be done in the evening of what you'd done during the day, and I copied other girls' stuff, and it got me by. And I knew I had to do something about it someday. I remember going into a bank and running out of it. I just couldn't fill in the wee slip of paper and just left it and ran out. When I went to do my driving test, my husband had to fill in the form for me. It was very difficult. It was just, there was no way I could do it. Here's a wildflower here. Look at what is it? I missed the reading, especially when I had my first child, because when you put him to bed, I couldn't read him a story. Hold that. And will we go and look at Daddy's kettle? When my second one came along, I definitely said to myself, I have to do something about this. I needed to get back to school. And the little bird, see the bird? Yeah. I was working on a FOSS scheme and my supervisor suggested that I should do something, and I agreed, and it was his help that sort of pushed me on and gave me the confidence to do something about it, to go to the VEC. Got me into the reading and write class. Like, he didn't just get me into a night class, he got me into a weekly thing that I was at school most of the week, and I loved it.
In this programme, Anna told us that she had problems filling in the application form for the driving theory test. People have to fill in forms all the time, and they come in many different sizes and formats. Whether it's opening a credit union account, joining a club, applying for a social welfare payment, or joining a library, you will need to fill in a form, and there are some parts that are always the same. In this form, we see that you need to write in your title, first name, second name or surname, address, telephone number, and date of birth. Sometimes the title of a box can tell you what type of information to enter. Look at the box for title. Here we see that we should only write in MS, Miss, MRS, an abbreviation or shortened form of Mrs, or MR, a shortened form for Mr. Your first name and surname are normally entered at the top of a form. Forms are usually filled in using capital letters instead of lowercase letters. This ensures that the person reading the form can easily understand the information. Your address normally takes up a lot more space than your name. If there are different lines, then you should write each part of your address on these lines. If there's only one line, then you can separate the parts with commas. For your date of birth, say it was the 20th of February 1965, then this would be written as 200265. Sometimes you won't have to write any words in a box, like this example, where you should put a tick in the boxes beside your areas of interest. In this case, Margaret is interested in gardening, fashion, lifestyles, and health. On most forms, you need to sign your name at the end on the signature line. When you're filling in forms, it's a good idea to make copies, if you can, to practice on. Read each box and see what information it asks you to write in.
Forms, they seem to be everywhere nowadays, but don't get too hassled by them, because usually they just ask for the same type of information, such as your name, your address and your telephone number. But if you are having difficulty, refer to the workbook. Now, I wonder if there's any wild animals around here.
Hi there, let's try a little experiment. Have a look at this shot. What can you see? Look again. Look closely at the area we've highlighted. Can you see more than one rhinoceros? If we play the shot forward, you can see that there were actually two rhinos in the picture. Now, take a look at the first shot again. Can you see the two rhinos now? If so, that's because you or your brain has learned to see the image that it couldn't see at first. When you saw the first shot, you couldn't see the two rhinos. With the second one, we made it clearer so that you could make them out better the second time. Learning is a journey, and like travelling, learning changes you. Just by looking at the clearer image, your brain changed a little by making connections between different brain cells. Learning wired these cells together so that when you saw the first shot again, you recognised the rhinos. Let's think about it this way. Anna, our learner in this programme, worked in a jeans factory sewing on pockets. The stronger the stitching, the better the clothes. The same is true for your brain. The more you learn, the better you stitch your brain cells together into a strong and efficient machine.
I have to say, your garden is looking so well, you're putting the rest, it's a shame. Yeah.
The first person Anna met when she decided to return to education was course coordinator Helen Fitzpatrick.
Oh, I see your work in the way.
I just have
Yeah.
a wee look through this.
Your tutor was telling me you're one of the very few students that takes actually work home over the
Oh.
summer.
I went back to school just last October and I feel fantastic. I feel an awful lot better. It wasn't just a night class, it was return to education. It was 3 days a week.
It means that you can tackle most things then in your own home.
It's computers and it's maths and it's something I didn't think that I'd like, but I do. I didn't think I'd be interested in computers, and I am, and I love it, and hope to get one of my own. This is some of my work that I had done in the past, and it's something I would never have done, is to write a postcard. I wouldn't even have attempted. It's a good feeling, you know, to be able to actually send a postcard to someone,
Yes.
especially a couple of friends. You know, you'd love to be able to do it, and it's something I never had done in the past.
But this, you know, you have something a lot to be proud of. This particular folder went forward for assessment to FETAC and was successful.
Yeah,
so
yes.
this isn't just a collection of work. It's a work that goes for assessment
Yes.
and is nationally recognised.
Yes.
Which is a lot to be proud of.
It's good to even look back at this, because you know how hard it was to put it together.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know how hard it really was?
The day has come now, and we're a year onwards, and Niall's about to start school. So how do you think now you're going to manage with the homework?
Well, hopefully I'll be able to help him to read, you know, help him a wee bit with the homework and with his reading.
If you know you get the homework's coming and you get stuck,
Yeah.
and it's just yourself and Niall at the table,
Yeah.
how are you going to how do you get round and how do you manage getting through stuff that you're not familiar with?
Well, I hope to be able to maybe break up a sentence like the paper. Say, are you PRICAWR aware? Like sometimes I don't know the words, so I just go on. PRIC price aware. Are you price aware? Sometimes like that. That's the way I'd learn.
That's a good way. That's a good way to manage
breaking it up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you ever do anything like that before?
No, I never done that.
I noticed there as well that you were, you know, with the big awards, especially that price, when you're probably trying to break it down in the middle somewhere, try and make it a bit more easier for you.
Yeah,
And you're all proud of yourself.
Anna talks about how she reads sentences, breaking them up and trying to work out the meaning of new words from other words around them. Sentences are the building blocks of everything we read and write. You'll often find very long sentences in books and newspapers. Capital letters and full stops help you to make sense of the words you're reading. Most sentences start with a capital letter and end with a full stop. Commas are used to break long sentences into smaller pieces. Look at this sentence. Although this time I was very lucky, it was only my third or fourth time to play the lotto. Without a comma, this sentence could seem very long and might be difficult to read. By using a comma, the sentence is broken up into two smaller pieces, which are easier to read. When you're reading, focus on sentences rather than long paragraphs of text. Then look for commas to help you break up the sentences into smaller, more readable chunks. The smaller the piece of text, the easier it will be for you to read.